Hello and welcome to Footy Judge Mo. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Of course, the Premier League is back and we cannot wait 2 days until it's back. It's Thursday now. Some people it's Friday for them, if I'm not mistaken, of course. But I'm here with a great guest. We'll talk Manchester City against Brighton, who's gonna outscore who. We'll talk about Arsenal, Chelsea, who's favorite, of course. So hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. And let me introduce my guest. It's one of the guys that I had here when I first started the channel for a preview for Arsenal Man City. He's very level-headed, knows what he's talking about. It's what his channel is in the description. You know him from the thumbnail. It's the one and only, of course, is Nobbins. Is here with me. Big up Nobbins. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, hello everybody. Just hit that like button for us people. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And we're just here to talk right away. How are you feeling? How's your day going? You
No,
ready
yes,
for the
good.
weekend?
Yes, it's been a high octane all action day. I've taken out the bins. I've cleaned the cat's litter. It's been exciting. What can I say? Yeah.
Yeah. You're waiting for the Premier League to be back.
Oh yeah. Well, it's international break in it, so I believe we've got another one in 3 weeks time or something. You just
November
can't get enough of
again.
these apparently.
Yeah, apparently they're. I don't know. I think they're like doing it. They're compensating for last year's World Cup. They're like, yeah, we'll have more international breaks for you. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna like. I don't like these international breaks. I don't like
No.
international football at
Oh, do you
all.
not? Oh, okay. Why is that? That's interesting. Why do you not like
Yeah, I
international
got
football
I got
generally?
used to club football, and I think international football is kind of dull and boring. Other than World Cups, Euros, and stuff like
I was gonna
that.
say, unless it's a major tournament, yeah, because if it's like a Euros or a World Cup, I normally get more excited if England score than City. To be fair,
Like
but
I don't want to watch
only in a
Italy
major
play
tournament though.
Malta. Like I don't care if Italy play Malta. I don't care if Ukraine plays this. I don't care. Like England play Italy, it was all right game. It was exciting game. The game was all right, but
And it's a
other than this,
qualifier in it, so
exactly at the end, I heard that Italy. It didn't matter if they win or lose because they
Yeah,
still have to win against Ukraine.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think England
And
only
now,
needed a draw, and so we've already qualified. So yeah.
yeah, but people in the chat, hit that like button for us, please. We're just starting and we'll start right away. Listen, the Premier League is I forgot the Premier League, to be honest. 2 weeks is a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, it's back with a bang because you play Brighton, probably
Yes.
the only team in the league. And I'm gonna start with that game. I'm gonna start with Manchester City and Brighton game.
Mm-hmm.
Probably it's the only game in the league where Pep Guardiola will surrender position voluntarily, happily to them. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, that was the case last season, wasn't it? I know we beat them 3-1, but I thought they were. I was really impressed with how they played, and they got it back to 3-1, and they were close to getting it back to 3-2 with 10, 15 minutes left, and then if they get that goal, anything can happen. So yeah, like we relied on. I can't remember who Haaland bodied exactly, but basically they set up in a really aggressive man marking system against us, and Pep realised that sort of 10 minutes in, and he said to Ederson, just long ball to long ball to Haaland, and that's how the first goal was scored. It was just a punt from Ederson. Haaland bodies the Brighton defender, rounds the keeper, and he scores. So yeah, Brighton had 60% of the ball that day, because they are an incredible possession based football. If you ask me who's my favorite team to watch outside of City, it's definitely Brighton. I love watching how they play. So yeah, I fully expect this weekend them to have 55-60% of the ball, to be honest.
But Haaland was scoring left, right, and center last year. He isn't in the last 3, 4 games. So he
No, but he's
scored.
still top scorer in the Premier League, so I wouldn't be too concerned.
Well, if you score a hat trick and a hat trick against Bournemouth, and you scored a hat trick against Bournemouth and a hat trick against somebody else, I think that would.
No, just a hat trick against Fulham. That's his only hat trick. That's his only hat trick this season.
But he hasn't scored in 3 games. You're not worried at all
No,
because KDB is not there.
he was really good against Arsenal, Haaland. He was one of our better players.
A big to differ, but fine. I actually
Why?
disagree
Why?
with you.
Why?
I actually think he should have moved more. He should have got involved more. The guy played 90 minutes, had 11 passes. If you're a forward and your team's under the cush, well, you can call it under the cush or not, but your team wasn't creating enough. It's probably on you to move more. And this is not against him. People want to say it's instructions or not instructions. I thought he was a little bit negative, especially in the second half. I thought he was a little bit just waiting for the ball and instead of moving enough and trying to create space for himself and other people. this is what I think like he should have done, and he didn't do it. Second half, he kind of surrendered, which
Well,
is some
second
yeah.
half's different because I mean, City were just a lot more passive second half. But I mean, well, there was one big chance in the game, and who created it by out jumping Gabriel? It was Haaland.
That was the
Uh,
first minute. That's is that the flick?
yeah, well, that was the only big chance of the
Fine.
game.
Okay,
Yeah,
so this is what I mentioned after this. So you
yeah,
didn't
and
score that chance. So he did his job then. So that's what you want. Yeah, you did it. You jumped up high. You
yeah.
flicked the ball. Your teammate missed the chance. Oh, I did my job. I just go home.
Well, in that
Is that what
instance,
you're saying?
no, because that's not all he did in the game. Again, people want to, there's that clip of Saliba bodying Haaland going around, which is fair enough because it was a fantastic bit of defensive play by Saliba. But people are acting like he pocketed him in that first half when Haaland got the better of him at least twice, and in both of those instances, his hold-up play was really good. He passed it out to Alvarez, who then passed it out to Gvardiol, who then crossed the ball in. Or there was the other instance where Haaland again outdid Saliba from a hold-up play standpoint, passed it infield to Alvarez, who then he normally does better with his ball striking from those distances, and he blazed over. So it's not. So he did what he was told to do, and he did it really well, to be honest. As I say, he created our only big chance of the game. His hold-up play was very good, and in a game where you're going to be limited on chances, the game was never going to be about how many shots is Haaland going to get, how many goals is Haaland going to get. It's in fact, I think I said this on your preview. When we did the game, I said the question's going to be. Can his link up and hold up play get other City players into the attacking phases? And that's exactly what happened. So yeah, so again, just because he didn't score in that game, I thought he was one of our better players. So I'm not concerned in the slightest, to be fair.
So you think I don't wanna dwell on it for long. Do you think like Holland's okay? So Holland last year, his job was to score some of the most of the goals. Hold up play is an extra. You think that now because he doesn't score, but his hold up play is all right. You think that's yeah, fine. That's his job now. That's his new job.
It depends. No, his job is still to score goals. As I say, he's top scorer in the
All
Premier League. It
right.
depends on the team you're playing, though. If you're playing Arsenal, where you know who've got like the second, I think they're statistically the second best defense in the Premier League, you're not going to get that many chances against them, are you? In a massive game, so his to judge him was never going to be on whether he scored lots of goals or not. It was going to be because he was going to be marked, double marked, triple marked. It was going to be a case of can he bring other players into the game, and that's what he did. It depends on the game. If he plays Sheffield United or he plays Fulham or Burnley, then sure, I expect him to also score some goals because I expect the team to create for him. But this is a player who needs got chances to be created for him. He's not going to just pick it up from the center circle, dribble past three players and then slot it into the bottom corner, and that's fine. Different players have different abilities and different responsibilities. So yeah.
Yeah, big up everybody that joined from Big Six Band. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. If you are new here, we're talking about the Premier League, people. Hit that like button for us, please. Get us to 50 likes and also turn on the notification bell so you know when we go live. Support the channel. You can become a member and do the show with me, of course. And also, your super chats are really appreciated to support the channel. Of course, get involved in the conversation. But Brighton, listen, so this game against Manchester, I actually predicted you to win about 2-0 because
Mm.
I think your defense will be able to hold them up. Like up, I think your defense is gonna be one of the strongest again this year. Thank you for everybody that is came in, Maradon, and congrats. That's 2K guys, just reached 2K a couple of days ago. Thank you for everybody that is supporting the channel, of course. So can we get to 50 likes if you guys don't mind? The like button is how we get to new people, is how we get new subscribers in. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. But we'll continue. This Brighton team, what's the ceiling for them this year? Where do you think they can finish?
Uh,
I'm not asking you where do you think they will finish. I think when they can finish, where they can finish. A lot of people told me seventh, eighth. People don't believe in Brighton. Do you believe that Brighton can do top six again?
Yeah, definitely. I think, in fact, I think I predicted them to finish exactly where they finished last season. They definitely can do it, but they're sort of limited in that they are obviously not a club who are able to keep hold of their players in the same way that a City would, or a Liverpool would, or whatever. At the end of the day, they are still, no disrespect to Brighton, but at the end of the day, they are still Brighton. So that it's not the same. Um, it's not the same manner in which they conduct themselves in football, and that's fine. Every single club has their own situation. But yeah, I think sort of like sixth, seventh, eighth area is about where they'll be if they did want to get to that next level. Then they're perfectly set up for it, but they would have to start not showing more ambition, but they would have to start, not allowing their players to leave, i.e., the likes of Caicedo and McAllister and Cucurella, and I'm assuming eventually Evan Ferguson. Now that is almost definitely not going
Mitoma's
to
gonna
happen.
leave. I'm telling you,
Matoma as
Mitoma's
well, yeah,
gonna leave.
exactly,
Stupinian might go next year. But here's the
exactly,
thing. I actually think that Brighton this year will finish top 6. This is my opinion about it. But I think that's it. The problem is
yeah,
that Zerbi is gonna leave. The club is gonna sell the players and he starts another cycle. They'll be all right though, because the club structure is very good. But I don't think the club itself have the ambition to grow to be, for example, like Spurs or like Man City or like Arsenal,
yeah,
like Newcastle, like Manchester United. And even one more thing, I actually don't think they have the same ambition as Aston Villa. Like Aston Villa aren't a selling club; they're a buying club. Like when they sold Jack Grealish, they actually didn't want to sell Jack Grealish.
yeah,
They wanted to keep Jack Grealish. I think Aston Villa hiring Emery, buying all these players. Some of them spend a lot of money on. I think Aston Villa, they're a rich club. They want to stay up there. Brighton, they don't care about, as long as the money keeps coming and we're performing well and we look all right. I think that's the model for them. So
yeah,
I actually don't think they're ambitious enough, because I'm not sure if they can't compete financially or not. But they're making a lot of money. But
yeah.
I think that the ceiling for them, depending on how willing they are to actually invest in the team instead of buying unknown names and selling them for big money. So
Yeah,
this,
it's nearly impossible for them because you said the Aston Villa example. That's right. Aston Villa are a massive club, much bigger than Brighton are, make much more revenue than Brighton historically. And I think that Brighton would be more than happy to keep it sensible and keep it tidy, and that's their model. And I think that like a few years ago, they were like in like the lower depths of English football, so their fans will surely be loving this anyway. And I think that if you are a Brighton fan, you're probably just enjoying the experience of playing in Europe, and then maybe the ambition is maybe we can go on a cup run at some point. But yeah, but in terms of actually breaking in, I think that there's too much of a financial barrier of entry. Like you've got to be willing to spend a lot. You've got to be willing to spend a stupid and unsustainable amount of money, to be honest, to be able to compete with the big boys. And a club like Brighton, long term, can't do it, to be honest, which is a shame, but it's just a reality. So they are capping their ambition, but that's because they're sensible rather than wanting to spunk a load of money and then be in a terrible situation where they've got to sell everyone and then they eventually get relegated.
yeah, I don't think they will get relegated. I think the club is run really well. Tony Bloom isn't the richest guy in the world, of course. So, but I still think that the club can make a lot of money. But so this game, you lost 2 on the bounce in the Premier League. You lost 3 on the bounce. Do you see this game as a must win, or is every game is a must win for Manchester City?
Yeah, we've got to win it, yeah. But I to be fair, I do go into nearly every game thinking we should probably win this game, and it's not a must win. I mean, even now, maybe it's a must win too just because it's too early in the
Hold on.
season.
So if you
But
don't win this game and Arsenal win the game and
mm,
Spurs win,
they'll be
you
five
still think
points
you can?
ahead.
You'll be fine.
Well,
No
they're
matter
only
what
5 points
happens.
ahead. We've played 9 games. There's almost 30 games
And
left to
you
play.
would have lost 3 games out of 9 games. That's it. I don't think Pep Guardiola has ever done that. Is that
What
not a red flag at all? Is
in
that
the league in a row?
no? Forget in a
Honestly,
row. The first 9 games, Pep Guardiola has never lost 3 out of the first 9 games in his career.
maybe, but if it does, I don't think it will happen. But if it did happen, I'm not going to be up in arms going, "Oh, the league's over and it's a terrible season." Blah, blah, blah. It wouldn't surprise me if City lost and then they win 20 games in a row because City are the sort of club to do that. So yeah, we should win, obviously, regardless of context. Even if we won all our games, we should still be beating Brighton at home. But
Yeah, I
Again,
agree with you. You should be beating Brighton. If they beat Manchester City, the thing about Brighton, if they beat Manchester City, it doesn't mean anything to me
hmm,
because Brighton's still gonna go and lose to somebody like 4-0, 4-1. Does that make sense?
hmm.
For me, I'm talking about Manchester City. I think you need to start getting, because yeah, you can go on 15 games, 20 games runs, but okay, the signs has to be there for you. And you're waiting for Kevin De Bruyne. I was talking to Lewis, to LB, and he's saying, yeah, when Kevin De Bruyne comes back, we'll be all right. When John Stones come back to full fitness, we'll be all right. But I think sometimes it might be too late.
I think we're all right now, though. Like, the only reason why we weren't all right against Wolves is because we didn't have Rodri. Let's be frank. I thought we played really well against Arsenal. In my opinion, that game was tactically very sensible from Pep.
Don't you think that
And
the only people that say that you played well against Arsenal are Man City fans? Have
I
you
don't know
ever
what.
seen any other rival or any other non-rival, or even the people that hate Manchester City, say that you played well? I haven't.
But I don't know what they're relating that back to. I'm talking about the context of the game. If you're talking about it relative to how City normally play, then City
Yes.
were terrible. But that's not the right lens to view the game, is it? Because you're against Arsenal away.
But you played
without
Arsenal 2
Rodri.
games last year and you won 7-2.
Right, but we had our best players available, didn't we?
All right.
It's not, and also Arsenal are actually better defensively.
But they
this
didn't
season,
have
as
their
it
best
turns out.
players as well.
You're not about to compare Saka to Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne, are
I
you?
am going to compare Saka. Saka is as important to Arsenal as Rodri to
He
Manchester City.
he was really important against us last season. Yeah.
But he was but he is important for them throughout the whole season. You disagree with that? None of the
Again,
Arsenal players were important against City.
Viewing
None
it
of,
through the lens of the
so
individual game,
the
I am
answer to
disagreeing
your
with
question,
you. Yeah.
the counter to your argument is, but none of the Arsenal players were important to them against Manchester City last year because they're all rubbish.
Saliba wasn't rubbish.
Last in the second game, in the first game that he played, he didn't play the second game. In the first game, I think Haaland got the better of him.
But he wasn't rubbish, though, was he? But the
When
point
the
is,
forward gets the better of you,
even if you want to go down the line of, but Arsenal players missing too, yeah, but you're not about to tell me that because they didn't have Saka, that it somehow equates to
what about
City
Thomas
not
Partey
having
not
both
being there?
Rodri
What about
and
Martinelli
not
not
having
being
Kevin De
fit?
Bruyne, and
What
also
about,
the fact that it's at Arsenal? Like, come on,
okay?
let's
So if you
not
put
be
it,
let's not be disingenuous about this.
so you think Arsenal are stronger this year than last year?
Huh?
Do you think, because you said this is Arsenal last year when you went
Stronger
to Arsenal, you still won?
They've been stronger defensively, yeah. Again, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. The context and viewing it through the lens. If people are looking at the City performance and going, "Oh, City were not as their free flowing self, therefore they were bad," I would suggest that's a very wrong way of looking at the match because you're not actually looking at it in the context of the game. Pep went there to be tactically defensively astute. That's why he packed the midfield. And therefore forced Arsenal to match us up. That's why it turned out to be a very defensive, war of attrition as a game. The tactics were spot on, and for the most part, we were the better side overall up until around the 80th minute. I'd suggest on the bounce of play. It was close. I'm not saying that City were unbelievably brilliant or were so much better than Arsenal, but I am saying marginally. I thought that we were better. I've touched it before. We created the only big chance of the game, for example. I think people are making the mistake of viewing that game through the lens of the result and not the match. If that Martinelli shot wasn't unfortunately deflected on Ake's head and it ends 0-0, are we all talking about saying, Arsenal were brilliant and City were terrible? Or are we actually sitting here and going, Pep got the tactics spot on, really tricky away game without your two best midfielders, without a full, without a John Stones didn't come on to like the last 20 minutes or whatever? I think we are. And this is why I'm saying people are making the mistake, in my opinion, of looking at the game. Sorry, they're analysing the result. They aren't actually analysing the match. That's what I mean by that.
All right. My opinion from outside is that second half, I think, as far as I can remember, it's one of the worst coached games for Manchester City for Pep Guardiola, as far as I can remember. Maybe you can remind me of others against a big team. The reason why, I'm going to say the reason why, I thought you came the second half unprepared. Arsenal pressed. You got out of the press 3 times. And I have 3 times exactly. One of them is the tackle for Rice, and one of them is the free kick that you got out of the 18. Right? And I think defensively you weren't as strong because your defenders were making last ditch tackles to clear for corners, and Arsenal got in a good places, good positions in the second half. They didn't use that. That's why they didn't create a clear cut chance. But I count when a player goes all the way to the byline, or a player goes one on one. The coach's job is to get a player, for example, to get the winger isolated one on one with a defender. And Arsenal were able to do that. And you're relying to the defender to stop the attack many times. Like Gabriel Jesus gonna really go places. I thought Martinelli got to the line a couple of times. So that's my point. And you didn't create any chances in the second half. And overall, the game was 0-0 in the first half. Kovacic should have got a red card. He didn't. And he still came out of the second half. He was all right. Your substitutions, I think, did not change the game at all. Your substitution didn't provide any spark, while Arsenal substitutions provide sparks, provide a lot more width to the game. And that's why what I'm saying. I actually think I'm crediting Arsenal for this, but I'm also saw that Pep Guardiola in the second half was a little bit negative. He thought about, I don't want to lose the game. I thought Arsenal won. Let me finish one more point and you'll understand why I think that it was that. If you're going to say that Guardiola didn't want to win the game and wanted to get the point and was he was, how to say the word? He was happy with 1 point. I would say that Arsenal wanted to win the game. The evidence for me, because I always try to provide evidence for is that when he subbed in Tomiyasu for the goal that Arsenal scored in the 89th minute, Tomiyasu, the left back that was on the pitch to defend Doku, was all the way inside Manchester City 18. That's a sign of a team or a coach that wanted to win the game. So that's my evidence. That when they scored, their left back, who is a defensive left back, was inside your 18 for a long ball when they built from the back. That's the coach telling this guy to run all the way to the 18, provide numbers, because he wanted to win the game. That's my evidence. This is my opinion. I know you won't change your opinion, but fine, go ahead.
No. Just before I say, you said that's my evidence. Can I just clarify what you mean? Evidence of what? Sorry, I don't.
The evidence of Arteta wanted to win the game, while Pep Guardiola was happy with 1 point. It looked like he was all right.
I've not disagreed with that.
Okay, fine. Okay, so we agree.
Yeah. So just to come back to that, it was just interesting that throughout all of that, you said second half.
Because I thought the first half was 50-50.
And I don't disagree that in the second half that City backed off more. But for the reasons that I've stated, that was by design, to be honest.
Fine.
I think that obviously Pep's going to be happy. If it comes to a case of who's happier with a draw, Pep or Arteta, obviously Pep would have been happier because of the context of the game and the context of the fact that he's away against Arsenal. Just going back to the thing of, if you ask, rival fans, whatever, who play better, I personally think that, it was very even. I would edge it to City personally. If you wanted to edge it to Arsenal, that's fine. But either way, if anyone wants to sit there and say anything other than a 0-0 draw was the fairest reflection of that game, I think they're being a bit silly, to be honest. Do you not think that a 0-0 was probably the fairest reflection of that game on the balance of play?
0-0 with Arsenal, if they won it, they'll be deserving the win. But if City won it, apart from the first two,
I'm not talking about winning. I'm talking about if you look to that game.
If it finished a draw, I would be like, yeah, fair enough.
So therefore,
however,
a 0-0
let me
draw
finish.
Is probably the fairest
if City won the game, okay, apart from the first two minutes when you had that corner chance and the Raya, the press from Alvarez, I think that on the balance of the next 88 minutes or 85 minutes, if Arsenal won it, I would say it's all right. Yes, it's deserved, but not 100% deserved. But if it's a draw, it's fair result as well. You can have two things right at the same time. The only thing I thought that, apart from the first two chances, and if you scored that, fair enough. If you won the game, if Man City won the game, I would say, well, not the best team won today. I thought Arsenal with a better team, very, very small margin, especially in the second half. And after the first 5-10 minutes, and the stats back me up. And I'm not only watching the game with the stats, I have my notes, and my notes say that Arsenal wanted to win. Arsenal wanted to press higher. Arsenal wanted the ball higher. Arsenal moved player higher.
Of course.
Of course, yeah. So and for whatever reason is whatever reason. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not saying because it's home, because it's away. I'm not defending this or that. I'm just saying what I saw on the game.
Mm.
Being at home or being away, that's completely separate issue. And I said before the game that Arsenal, if they want to be a real deal, if you want to be contenders, you'll have to go against any team at your home, favorites. You'll have to win the game. You'll have to want to win the game. There is no team in the league that should go to the title contender and be favorites. You shouldn't. And this is, we agree on this because they're home. And I think they played all right, Arsenal, to be honest. And luck was on their
I
side.
think they played all right. As I say, look, you think Arsenal were marginally better. I think City were, again, if it's come across, I'm saying City were definitely better. I'm talking about the finest of margins, but I do still think City are marginally better. I'm not saying that City were brilliant because they weren't. But again, people saying City were terrible, I would implore them to, as I say, think about the context. Why did City play like that? City set up defensively and pat the midfield for a reason.
Yeah. Okay, let me do this one super chat. LFC Aaron, thank you so much for the support, guys. Your support is appreciated. We almost have 100 people here and we're not even on 50. I don't know why you guys stopped hitting the like button. It looks like thumbs up. Hit that like button so we get more people watching us. We get more subscribers. Subscribe to the channel. LFC Aaron is saying, thank you, Aaron, for the support for the channel. Really big up more, loving your content. Like and subscribe, people. Please listen to Aaron, people. Your support is really appreciated for this channel. And we need the likes to go up. So let's move on from Manchester City, Brighton, and go to Arsenal v Chelsea. I was called crazy when I said, I actually on Hassam's channel yesterday, they asked me for my prediction. We played this game of predictions and stuff, and I predicted Chelsea to win 2-1. And I was called crazy.
Right.
Do you think I'm crazy to predict Chelsea to win? Or do you think, forget prediction or not prediction, do you think I'm crazy to even give Chelsea a chance? Like, on the chat yesterday, people said, no, Chelsea have no chance of winning this game.
There's always a chance. Like, Chelsea, just recently bumped into some, their players actually resulting in results now. I know they conceded first against Burnley, but they still did get a win. Obviously, Arsenal are going to be the massive favourites. I fully expect Arsenal to win, not comfortably because it's at Stamford Bridge, isn't it?
Yes, this is the only reason. This is one of the main reasons I say that Chelsea might have a chance to win. I would.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, look, Arsenal are infinitely better than Chelsea. To be honest, they should be winning, and I do think they will win. I think the main issue for Chelsea is that Arsenal. I touched on it before. I believe Arsenal have the second best defensive record from like a expected goals conceded standpoint. Whereas Chelsea have one of the worst records from a big chances missed standpoint. So on paper, that doesn't bode well for Chelsea. It bodes very well for Arsenal because it suggests that Arsenal are going to get a clean sheet, and that even if Chelsea do create chances, which they probably won't because Arsenal are very defensively solid, it means that Chelsea will probably not even finish those chances. If it's to happen, then Arsenal have to play poorly, I think. Chelsea have to be on it, and I would be very surprised for a Chelsea win. I think the best Chelsea can realistically hope for is a draw, a low-scoring draw as well. Like if Chelsea concede more than one goal, then they will definitely lose for me. I personally can't see them scoring. I think it will be 1-0 or 2-0 Arsenal. But look, Chelsea win could happen. You're not insane for saying that. There is definitely a chance. There's always a chance. Like Wolves beat City, for example. There's always a chance. These results can happen. But yeah.
So there is a reason why I'm saying Chelsea might win the game. There is a reason why I'm saying that.
Tell me more.
So Chelsea in the beginning of the season, they were the highest possession-based team in the league, even higher than Man City. Right? Okay. And they were creating chances. The chances were not as clear-cut as lately. Yeah, some of them Jackson here, Jackson that. Some of them were clear-cut. But the volume of chances created over the past two games is different than the volume of chances created the 6 games before. They won the last 2 games, Chelsea, against Fulham and against Burnley. In these 2 games, by the way, Chelsea had less than 50% ball position. So they changed the way they play completely. Does that make sense? So I think the Chelsea that we saw in the first 6 games is a completely different Chelsea than the Chelsea that we saw in the last 2 games. And that Chelsea that we saw in the last 2 games, all right, is they're relying so much on creating spaces and they're relying so much on having a space behind the opposition's midfield. That didn't happen. Chelsea had 66 average ball position in the first 6 games, 66% or 67%. That means there was too tight of spaces. There is not a lot of spaces for them. But because it's Arsenal, I know that Arsenal will press, will have the ball higher. So I'm judging Chelsea of the last 2 games, how they play. Now, of course, Arsenal's defense is much stronger than Burnley and Fulham. But also Arsenal will press even more than Burnley and Fulham. Arsenal will leave spaces behind to the likes of Cole Palmer, to the likes of Raheem Sterling, if he can be on point like the last game. So that's why I'm saying, yeah, Chelsea, if there's a game that suits their new style of play, it'll be this game against Arsenal with the space behind Arsenal. While Chelsea, I think, is one of the best teams in stopping the opposition from getting chances. They did that without even sitting back. So imagine if they sit back. Their midfield is very strong. Their left Colwell is very strong. Malo Gusto is strong. There is a rumor that Reece James is coming back. And Disasi, Thiago Silva, even though I don't think that Thiago Silva should play, but he has been helping the defense stopping the attacks. That's what these are my reasons why I think now this game suits Chelsea. Does that make sense to you? Like the Chelsea that we saw the last 2 games is completely different than the Chelsea that was rubbish in the beginning of the season. Yeah. They created a lot of chances and they were solid defensively. The goal that was scored against them was from a mistake from in Burnley, if I'm not mistaken. So this is why I'm saying I get what you're saying, and I say that Arsenal starting lineup is way superior to Chelsea starting lineup, especially with Thomas Partey back, Saka and Martinelli. But also, I'm putting the home ground factor in it. That's what I mean. That's
Look. As I say, it could definitely happen. I hope it happens.
I try to break it as much as I can. I try to break it down as much as I can.
No, yeah. Again, if it comes to fruition, I would be really happy if that happened. I think the midfield battle is going to be really interesting because Chelsea's midfield on paper is fantastic with Enzo and Caicedo in there, and then maybe like a Gallagher just ahead of them or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see what midfield Arsenal deploy. Like if it's Havertz in midfield, then I could see Chelsea maybe dominating the game potentially from that standpoint. If it's Rice, Partey, Odegaard, there may be a different situation. I think maybe even like the individual battles at the fullback area as well could be really interesting. Maybe like Cole Palmer against Zinchenko, Sterling against Ben White, or Sterling against Zinchenko, depending on where he plays. So I think it's going to be hopefully an entertaining game. It normally is between Chelsea and Arsenal. Even if it's not an entertaining footballing spectacle, there's normally a couple of fights that break out. So I think it will be a good matchup, to be honest. But I still expect Arsenal to win.
Yeah, Derek became an elite member. Of course, guys, check out the membership. I want people, the members, I got like 15, 16 members now. Can you check the community to email me if you want to be on a show? Of course, we have some members will be next week, and we have some might do this week, of course. But check out the membership community. Derek, thank you for supporting the channel. He became an elite member, which is the 2nd tier, the highest tier. So thank you so much for supporting the channel, guys. Your support is appreciated. And finally, we have 100 people, but we don't have 50 likes. Guys, you're embarrassing me in front of Nobins, to be honest, with the like button. The like button is so important for us here. I wanna listen. I'm gonna stay on Chelsea and Arsenal for a bit, and I wanted to ask about Declan Rice. It's been lately talks about he's the best DM in the league. I have Arsenal fans telling me this. Even someone, Hussam said this year that he's better than Rodri this year in 8 games. I say, in my membership merchant. So anyway, I said in my opinion that actually I think Bissouma has been one of the best DMs in the league, and I got like slaughtered for it again because they think I hate Arsenal, and because they think when I say that I'm saying that Declan Rice isn't good. If I say Declan Rice is good, that means Rodri is also good, but maybe I'll edge Declan Rice over Rodri, maybe I edge Rodri over Declan Rice. Do you think Declan Rice has been the best DM in the league this year?
No, I mean we don't. I don't even think we need to even get into a debate about Bissouma. It's. I mean, Rodri's right there. I don't care if he was like suspended. The start of this season began with people, not even like non-City fans, whatever, going, Rodri's the best midfielder in the world and he's actually better than Kevin De Bruyne. And in the space of a few weeks, now it's gone to he's not even the best defensive midfielder.
Yeah, because the
in the
record
league.
affects that. By the way, the record, the disciplinary action affects that a lot. You probably, if push comes to shove at the end of the year, Nubbins, at the end of the season, and you lose the league by 1 or 2 points, this Arsenal game might be the one to look back and say, we lost against our direct rival. And Rodri, you strangled somebody or didn't or whatever, and you got the record. He might be the reason. That's why after 8 games now, he got suspended 3 games. You're out of the cup. You lost back-to-back games for the first time since 2018. And I put that down towards his attitude in that game when he got the record.
I'm not about to say that Rodri's not the best defensive midfielder in the world because he made a lapse
I
of judgment
convinced
and got
you,
himself
though.
sent
I
off.
convinced you a little bit. In the
No,
first
you
8 games,
didn't. Less of that.
I kind of convinced you.
No, and also, even if we did lose the title by a point, there are 38 games in a season, and a season isn't defined by 1 game ever. It's defined by 38. That's the point of it.
By the way, I'm not talking about ability, Nobbins. Okay, ability on the side, because this ability thing is like, yeah, but on ability he's better than Declan Rice. I agree with you. He's more experienced. He won more, and he plays in a better team, and he's coached under the better coach. And ability-wise, I think he's superior to Declan Rice in a lot of areas. But I'm saying in this year, he played 6 out of 8 games because of a disciplinary action. A lot of Man City fans think that you lost these 2 games because he wasn't there, and if he was there, you might have had a better chance. That doesn't affect his rating this year. You don't think that his rating went down this year?
It didn't go down enough to say he's not the best defensive midfielder in the league.
But
no.
Declan Rice has been amazing for 8 games.
Out of interest, do you believe what this devil's advocate thing you're doing now, or are you just doing it to get an?
No,
So
hold on. I actually believe in that. The record. I actually said that before. It's not. I'm not doing that because you're here. I said,
okay,
getting a record. You can be the best player in the league. Okay, and I'm judging based on 8 game sample, but 25% of the games you missed, and your team lost these games, and I believe that it's dominantly because you were not there. You're one of the main factors in your team winning the games and playing well. It affects your rating. So yes, I believe what I'm saying. On ability, if you ask me tomorrow, who would I choose to be my DM? I'll choose Rodri no matter what, right? So you get what I'm saying. I'm talking about the ratings. Who has been better this year? It's really that record affected his rating for me.
So just to confirm, when both players are on the pitch, you think Rodri's been the better player this season?
Yes.
Okay, I'll accept that. That's fine.
That's my point. But if I'm doing a rating, if I'm giving a trophy tomorrow in the first 8 games, who has been the best DM in the league? But let me give you an example. If a player plays there's 8 games, if a player plays 4 games or 3 games, and he has been magnificent, scored hat-tricks and everything, and then he got missing for 4 games, would you give him the best player because he played 3 games out of 8 or 4 games out of 8? That's my logic here. Like Bissouma, for me, on the pitch, he has been better than Declan Rice. But that red card at the end, we still haven't seen the effect of that. But based on the 8 games, he has been all right. But he got the red card only in the last game. That's why I still haven't taken him. I think Bissouma has been the best DM in the league, in my opinion, in the first 8 games. This is it's a personal opinion. That doesn't mean that Rodri is bad or Declan Rice is bad. But I think over the past 8 games, I think he has been the better one for me.
That's fine.
And for many reasons. And I try again, I don't say things without trying to explain them. Sometimes my logic isn't to your liking or isn't to the people's liking, because a lot of people in the chat said that I'm brainwashed by other people. But maybe.
No, you can have that view if you want. I mean, I don't personally like the whole discussion of, people are making team of the seasons and we're 8 games in. Yeah, I personally think it's. I get people want to make their content, and it can be a fun thing to talk about. But I'm of the view that if really team of the season, so far isn't really helpful until you're like, I don't know, 15, 20 games in or something. Like if we're being realistic, I don't think that the sample size is big enough to actually have a proper. I mean, like, where does it end? Should we,
I have done team of the season the first 4 games on some channels.
First 4 games, yeah, that's mad.
And I've done the worst team of the season in 4 games after the first
for me, that's mad. As I say, where's it end? Well, shall we do it after the first game of the season? Well, the first game was on a Friday. It was City Burnley. So the team of the season after the first 90 minutes was an all City team. So therefore, yeah. I don't think it's if people enjoy it, that's fine. I'm not having a go at it. It's entertainment and people like it. But if we want to have a conversation of like actual value, I don't know how helpful it is. I mean, you just mentioned there after 4 games is that doesn't tell you anything. That tells you literally nothing. If you want to have a conversation about who is actually the better player.
Yeah, of course, you cannot judge by 8 games. The season is 38 games. Yeah, I agree with you, of course. But content is content. People like
No,
it.
I'm not having to go with it. I'm just saying if you want to have a
People
value
need to
conversation.
eat. So
I'm not, as I say, I'm not having to go with it. I'm just saying if you want to have a value conversation, then it's not helpful. That's all.
yeah, people hit that like button before we move on. Mo, I deserve to be a mod. Have over well, everybody as like I'm gonna have like 50,000 mods in this channel probably.
Just make everyone a mod.
But the mods you guys manage like each other. If you kick somebody, I'll actually block you from the channel completely. If you block like I don't tolerate foul language in the chat, but you can banter, you can joke, you can say whatever you want, guys. So hit that like button. So let's move on to which other game can we talk about? There is a game I wanted to talk about. Yes, the Liverpool Everton game. Why do
Oh,
people call that a big game? Because it's a derby, right?
I think it's because I don't know what the state of play is anymore, but I believe they used to call it the quote friendly derby because
All right.
historically there wasn't Liverpool and Everton fans. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there wasn't like this really intense hatred on the pitch certainly. And as I say, I believe that its nickname used to be the friendly derby. Again, someone can totally fact check me on that. I believe that's the case. And I think also maybe the other thing is, disregarding all of that, the issue, certainly in the Premier League era, is that I think Everton have finished over Liverpool maybe twice in Premier League history.
Since 92.
Yeah. They did it in the 11-12. I can't remember. Maybe they did it another time. I think that was a season when Moyes got like maybe 5th or something. Maybe it happened then. So maybe that's why historically it's not regarded as a big derby. And as I say, it's also because there is no equality in power. Like, Arsenal and Spurs have, even when Arsenal were good, Spurs were never shit. Do you know what I mean? But when Spurs were, good, Arsenal weren't shit. There was sort of like a relative equality there. Even now with City and Man United, City are obviously much better than United, but there is still a general rough equality. Whereas you got Liverpool potentially title challengers, and now you got Arsenal potential relegation candidates. So maybe that's why it's not regarded as the biggest game. But I enjoy watching it. And Aaron in the chat,
For me, it's the same as the derby.
It's
like
good to watch.
Yeah, for me, from outside, looking from outside, this Everton Liverpool game, it's good to watch and everything, but they want to call it a big game. It's not a big game. At the moment, it isn't a big game. Manchester United, as dire as they are now, them against Manchester City. All I'm going to tell you is that if Manchester United are at home now and they play against Manchester City, you cannot sit here and say Manchester City would 100% win the game. I think Liverpool playing Everton at the moment is not a derby. It's a derby just because of location. But it's not a big game
in name only.
In location, yeah, because the location of the two clubs, but they're not comparable. They're not close to each other. Not financially, not in the league, not on the level of the players on the pitch. Nothing. Like you can argue that Manchester United at least have some players that might be in the Man City squad, might not start, but in like Marcus Rashford might be in the squad. Lisandro Martinez, like they have some players that they might be in the squad. But Everton, to be honest, come on, just they're a relegation level. Like they are relegation level.
Yeah, I think that it's
with all due respect, like just
I think it's one of those derbies where if you're a Liverpool and Everton fan, obviously it's probably like one of, if not your biggest game of the season, whatever. But it's probably, in a way, it's probably what the Manchester derby was sort of like 20 years ago, maybe. When United were top of the food chain and City were absolute pants. It might be that sort of situation. I mean, obviously the Manchester derby meant a lot to Manchester City fans. I don't know how many non-Manchester fans really cared about the Manchester derby, as I say, like 20 years ago or whatever. I know personally, as a non-Liverpool Everton fan, I the North London derby, that's a game where I go, yes, got to watch that. Obviously the Manchester derby, I'm a City fan, but even like non-City and United fans will want to watch that. Whereas with the Merseyside derby, I go, oh, I'll watch it, but it's not like as I say, it's not like the North London derby where I'm like actively excited and looking forward to it. It's a game where I look at it and go, yeah, that'll be a Liverpool
I'll wake up
3-0
for it. It's
win.
6:30 here in the morning.
Well,
I'll
yeah,
wake up
look,
for it.
I'm not disrespecting it. It'll be a good game, and I will watch it. But how you feel like there are some matches, there are some matchups where you feel like it's seismic, and you feel like it's could be season defining. I don't really look at the Merseyside derby in that way, and that is again no disrespect to Everton, but it's because of the level of Everton that they aren't anywhere near Liverpool.
Do you think Liverpool, the last thing, I don't want to stay for long, it's 45 minutes in. I really wanted to keep this to 50, 55 minutes. Do you think Liverpool are seriously going for the title, or they're just a club, like a team now that is transition, new midfield, Luis Diaz coming back, Nunes is coming back to the different phase of his career at Liverpool. Do you think they are going for the title, or do you think Liverpool are just, it's just we're there, we want to be there, we wanna be there in game week 32, 33, 34. We want to be close to the title, or do you think like Arsenal? I feel Arsenal. They believe they want to win the title. They believe they can win the title. Do you believe that Liverpool can win the title?
No, I don't think their players or staff, if they were being honest with themselves,
Exactly. That is exactly the answer I want. Like, if how do they think? Yes, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I think again, if you're a fan, totally different because you have different expectations. But
Yes.
I think that the Liverpool players, staff, etc., will think, look, inwardly, there's really no pressure here on us this season. No, a lot of people didn't predict them to even finish in the top four before a ball was kicked because of their defensive midfield, issues, before the season started. Obviously, it's not been that bad. I think that they'll be more than happy to comfortably finish in third, and that's where I do think they will be comfortable third. I don't think that there'll be any danger of that, and I think that they will know that. So they'll just try to play well this season, get the right system with how they want to play, and then next season, I'm thinking another 2-3 players of sort of like the level of the players they've already brought in, in those key areas. Think of maybe like an actual proper defensive midfielder, maybe another option at centre half, maybe like another option at fullback. Then I think that's when Liverpool players and staff will go, right, now look where we finished last season, third, and now we've added all this quality. Now we actually challenge for the title. I think that'll be the case, and that is from a City fan perspective, that is a terrifying thought because I was really hopeful that Klopp was finished at Liverpool when there was a whole talk of him potentially getting sacked. I was like, yes, please go, but because I'm very scared of Klopp and Liverpool, so I think next season they will be in a proper title race. To be honest, not this season's too early for them, in my opinion.
Can I ask you something?
Maybe.
They hang it until January. They are 3 points behind the lead. Behind the lead now, the leaders. They hang it until January. You go buy a top DM. Can they go for it?
So
do you agree they have the best forward line in the league?
Probably, yeah. Probably. That sounds fair.
Yeah, and I actually I'm a believer in Szoboszlai. I'm a believer in McAllister playing hard on the pitch. I just think that if this team has a Paulinho, so the difference between Spurs, Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool is that Bissouma, Rice, Rodri, while Liverpool have Endo. That's a main difference.
Exactly, yeah. As I say, they need a defensive midfielder. They need another option at centre back because of like injury issues and also just from a depth perspective, and also because I know Van Dijk's been actually good this season, but there have been question marks about whether are his days numbered, and maybe even another fullback option because there's lots of Liverpool fans don't seem to like Robertson. He seems to be quite a controversial.
He's injured
figure.
for 10 weeks now, so they have Tsimikas playing for
right. Yeah, and again, that's in my opinion. I don't think you win the title with Tsimikas as your main option at left back. So there needs to be more depth in there for me before they could do it. So I don't think one player is enough. If in this hypothetical situation where they go get someone who's a level of, let's say like a level of like a Fabinho in the 2019 season or whatever. I still think there's a little bit more that needs to be done. But I do think they will get it done in the summer, and that's when they will properly challenge. I'm assuming City will still be there in the title challenge next season as well.
I
Maybe.
actually think that Robertson thing. I think it's. I don't think it's that bad. I think actually Robertson has been bad for them defensively. I think that will give them a chance to play the lineup I wanted them to play, and I think that will help their DM situation. I think now they can play. Then I don't want them to play Tim. If I was Jurgen Klopp, I would play a center back in that side. Someone like Gavardiol. They don't have that. I would play Gomez, or I would even play Konate, because that will allow Trent to invert fully into the midfield, which is what you did last year, Man City, allowing John Stones to completely be a midfielder. And having what's his name there, Robertson there, is something that is halting them or just stopping them from putting Trent fully inverting.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think
Gavardio would have been the perfect player for Liverpool.
I said that. I said a left-footed centre back would be the best player. He loves Robertson. He got injured now. Let's see if he's going to play center back or not. But Liverpool, I think Liverpool, they are in a tighter race, because I actually think that the league this year is going to be not won by 90 plus points. It's going to be by 80 something points. And I believe that if anybody hangs in until game week 25, 30, they're in it. They're in it. Because
Yeah.
I believe that now 8 games away from home now for every team are tough grounds to go. And I count Brighton, Aston Villa, Manchester United. I can count the team. Newcastle. Like, I don't think City will walk this league in terms of 90 points or 90 plus points. I think City and Arsenal both will lose games away from home. So that's what I think is going to happen. So I think Liverpool can hang in there easily because they're outscoring opponents. Listen, let's be honest. They lost to Spurs when they shouldn't have lost to Spurs.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, this is one of the games. I don't know what else they had a problem with the game after they won against Brighton. Sorry, what's his name? Pascal Gross should have been sent off against them, and it would have made the game very easy for them because they play against a team in Brighton. They didn't get that. I believe they are robbed of at least 4 points or something like this. 2 points against Spurs and 2 points against Brighton. But hey, luck is luck, and I think it's not malicious. I think it's just a mistake. The last part of this, 2 minutes in, Manchester United Football Club. They play Sheffield away. I had some people yesterday telling me that they're gonna lose the game, that they predict Sheffield to win. Do you think Man United are in a crisis mode or not yet?
No. I mean, it's not been a great season for them. They will be fine. Haaland will eventually start scoring in the Premier League. He's fantastic. I really like the look of him. They do have a lot of issues. Ten Hag needs to sort himself out a bit. I think he's sort of. I think I overrated how good Ten Hag was going to be because his in-game management is borderline poor at times, and I thought that's what he was quite good at, to be honest, from what I heard about him. So I guess I overrated him. No, United will be fine. They'll beat Sheffield United. I think United will still finish in the top 5, which is enough to get Champions League football.
What? You think they're going to finish above Newcastle, for example?
Yes.
And above Brighton and Aston Villa?
Yes.
Oh my God. Right.
Yes.
What's your evidence? Like, why are you saying that? Based on what?
I guess with predictions, most of it comes down to hunches more than anything else, rather than evidence. I guess I can't see this poor form from like the start continuing until the end of the season, to be honest. I actually thought that they played quite well against Brentford for the most part. They did concede early, and people look at that and go, oh, they got 2 lucky goals in extra time. I thought they actually played, they dominated with a better side for that game. And I think that was a good sign, to be honest. And I think that, look, there are some really bad inherent issues in there, but there are also a lot of injuries affecting United's defence, particularly, Amrabat, for example, has had to pop in at left back. So I don't know. I just think that long term, I think that they'll be fine. I think that they will. I think they'll sort themselves out. I don't think they'll be. I don't think they'll be close to getting 3rd, but 5th is enough to get Champions League football. I think they'll be fine long term.
Listen, I got a question here. So the last thing is that I got a question from Hamza, of course. Big up Hamza, of course,
Big up
guys.
Hamza.
Check out Hamza's channel. He's saying, Nobins, do you fancy our chances of winning the double? I know what the double means for him. Champions League and the Premier League this year.
we should win the double, to be honest, because in my opinion, we are. I mean, we'll see what happens with the Premier League, but if it goes the way I think it will go, then we should win the Premier League because I think we are the best team in the country, and I think that we are the best team in Europe. To be fair, as things stand now, that's subject to change. But yeah, on paper, we should win both of them. The issue with the Champions League is that, as we all know, the best team doesn't necessarily win the Champions League. There are many examples
Small
of the best
margins.
Team.
It's very
Exactly,
small
because
margins,
over 90 minutes, anyone can beat anyone, or it can go to penalties, or you can have an unfortunate refereeing decision,
Yes,
and
100%.
maybe the best team on the day doesn't win, or maybe the better team in general happens to have a poor performance in a second half of football, and then you lose it. But yeah, we should win. But again, this is why it's not really helpful saying we should win it, because really, City, the best team in England, should win the FA Cup every year, and they should win the League Cup every year. So really, the domestic treble should happen every single year, but it doesn't because it's knockout competition, so anything can happen. But yeah, look, I can't really think of who else in Europe is a genuine terrifying threat, to be honest.
Bayern Munich with Harry Kane.
Mate, I don't.
Whatever you tell me, Bayern Munich with Harry Kane is kind of a tough
maybe,
opponent.
but look, they definitely want to potentially win it. But even them in Germany, they haven't been that impressive in the Bundesliga.
They're not.
So at this,
but you haven't been impressive in the league as well. You're scraping past team. You're not. You haven't been. So it's the same. So why have
we
same
haven't been
energy?
impressive in the Premier League? What?
You have not this year. 8 games in, you're third. You're not first.
So just to clarify, before the Rodri red cards, do you not think that we were amazing?
But the Rodri red card is part of the Premier League.
Sure,
isn't it? Why do I need to discard that?
Because Rodri's not going to. Because unless he does a Casemiro,
so you're assuming that Rodri isn't going to get suspended, injured, or red carded again.
Well, Rodri's never been red carded in his City career before that. So,
but you don't think he's going to get injured?
I don't think Rodri's ever picked up a big injury for City either.
All right.
So again,
so I'm assuming. So I'm assuming. So it's me who was assuming.
Well, we've got.
Yes, actually, it's true.
Let's assume based on history and reality, shall we?
Yeah.
The reason why that third placing is inflated or whatever is, let's be honest, is because Rodri did get suspended. Now a suspension is a short-term thing, so.
Here you go. A comment here is telling you same for Bayern. Then they have a lot of center backs injured right now.
I don't know what.
Someone answered you. It's not me.
I don't watch enough Bayern to comment on that, so I don't know. I don't even know if that's true. I thought that Upamecano and what's their other
De Ligt is injured, I think, if I'm not
mistaken. De Ligt's injured, but I don't think he starts anyway. Does he? Who's their other main centre half? Am I misremembering?
Kim
Min-jae. That's the one. Yeah, I thought Kim and Upamecano were fully fit, so I may be misremembering.
Rodri and KDB are two of the 3 best midfielders in the world. Judge being the third. Yeah, Jude being the third. Yeah, I agree. KDB. The thing about it is that KDB, he has been. I'm not sure when is he gonna be back and how fit is he gonna be. But anyway, long story short. Listen, I don't want to keep Nobbins for long. Thank you, Nobbins, for being here. I really enjoy this one-on-one shows with you specifically. We talk a lot of football. We debate. What?
I called you cute.
It's easy.
I called you cute. I said cutie because you said you enjoy it. So I said, "Oh, aren't you a cutie?"
I'm probably older than you to call me cutie. Probably.
So?
Like, why would you call me cutie?
It's
kind of
because you said something sweet.
Ah, wow! Cheers, everybody! Cheers, everyone! Hey, can we get us to 100 likes? You people, don't let me scream, just and yell at you. I'm freaking waking up at 6:30 in the morning here to give you content before I go to freaking work. Support that channel at least by hitting the like button. It's as simple as that. Come on, and I'm giving you box office guests. Nobbins is here, so just do that. Come on, people. Thank you so much, Nobbins, for being here. Guys, Nobbins' channel is actually in the title. It's simple as you click on that, it takes you to the channel, subscribe to his channel, and then hit the like for the latest video he has. So please do that for me, and we'll see you guys later today, probably at 11. See you guys. I am trying to